Hi, my name is Sam Demientieff. I am from Holy Cross, which is a village down on the lower Yukon River. Born there in 1939. My dad's name was Nick Demientieff, and he was born there at Holy Cross. My mom is Nellie Demientieff. Her maiden name was Bressler, and she's from Anvik, which is 42 miles up the river from Holy Cross. And so she had friends in Holy Cross, and they knew my dad, and so they kind of thought that this Nick might be a good person for Nellie to meet. You know, it's kind of like a little arrangement. The way it went is the men in the villages, you know, they travel around up and down the rivers and back out to the country hunting and trapping, fishing on the Yukon River. My mom's friend, who was Belle Deacon, she was the one that thought that it might be interesting or a good idea that that Nellie find somebody down, you know, the mission is at Holy Cross. Lots of people there. So the arrangement, he came up and visited, and it was a real interesting story. The way my dad tells it is that he said he met Nellie and he just was kind of, in his way, you know, it was love at first sight, you know, but he didn't say that. He just said, I met her and wow, she was really nice looking, you know, and he's trying to downplay it, you know, he's all excited, but he's trying to downplay it. Yeah, she's really nice, and yeah, maybe a good idea to have her come down to Holy Cross. The Catholic mission came into Holy Cross when my dad was young, in his teenage years. I mean, when he grew up, not his teenage years, but it was the mission was founded in 1888. But through those years, you know, the people in the village were going to the school. The new school was being built. The policy was discourage language, discourage dancing, discourage customs. They thought were not good, that they may be of distraction to the Catholic Church and its policies relating to the Catholic religion. By the time I got to go to the school, which was in the 1940s, there weren't too many kids that spoke the native language. I didn't. So you know, I could hear my mom and my dad say a few things in the native language, you know, put wood in the stove, pack water or do something, just using those phrases. It was by the time I was a kid, my brothers and sisters and people in our village have pretty much lost the language. Quite a few of the mission kids, you know, were orphans, and so they had no people. They had no mothers and fathers, or they had single parents. So, but they were pretty much left there at the mission. Us village kids, we were living at home. Some of the families continued speaking the native language, and but in the village, in the mission, they were forbidden to speak that at all, and were punished for it. You know, soap in the mouth or spanking, and just telling them in school, don't talk the native language because it's something that you won't use. You won't use this later on in your life. We don't know if it's good, where it comes from. We don't know in the past if the native people believed in God. We don't know if they believed the right thing. So all of this is discouraged. Don't do that. One of the things we all have to remember is that I grew up in Holy Cross in the Catholic faith. Now, of course, today, you know, in 1982, the Pope which was Pope John Paul II, apologized to the indigenous peoples of the world for the policies of the church as it relates to language, customs, dancing, or anything related to how people live. I went down to Tanacross, and I was there, invited there to a gathering, and I think it was maybe, I don't know if it was Tanaka, it was a meeting, and I was there, and they asked different people to get up there and speak and talk. So I happened to be on the Doyen board, I think it was, or anyway, I got up there and talked about just what we're talking about now, how the Native people lived, and how things change, and how things are different. And so I got down there, and someone grabbed me by the shirt and pulls me over the side. I go over, and I know this couple, and an older couple, and they said, Sam, got over in the corner off to the side, and said, we want to know what you said again, what you said that the Pope said. I said, well, he apologized for the policies of the Catholic Church, that the way the Native people lived and their language and everything else is good. There's nothing wrong with that. This couple said, it's too late for some of our people. And it's too late because some of these older people died thinking they were no good. They died thinking that everything that they did in their lives, songs, dances, and drumming and practices were bad. And it's too late, Sam, for that. And I didn't know what to say. I was kind of, it's a hard thing to hear. And I said, yes, I understand, but they have to start someplace. So they said this, and we have to spread the word, that there's nothing wrong. And be proud of who you are. And that those things that we did as Native people are good things. During that time period, my dad and mom were starting a barge freighting business. And this was from Holy Cross up the Inoko River, the Iditarod to Flat. 1929, I think it was, 1920s. Came up the river. Dad, what he would do was he would stop at the camps and he'd tell them, my name is, introduce himself and tell them what he's doing. And so the people, they appreciated that. They wanted to know, who's that? Never seen that boat before, or who's those guys, And they said, well, I'm down there. I said, oh, I know, my relative lives there in Holy Cross or in Pymute, do you know them? And so they knew each other. So in other words, the short story is my dad got to know people up and down the river, and they got to know him. But he would buy up potatoes, go down to the West Cove Grocery Company and buy cartons, cases of eggs and fresh fruit, and we'd take off and we'd sell them. And some places he would give them away. He would just, most of the time it's for sale, he wanted to try to make money. His job was freight. If he could sell something on the side, good, another way to make some money. And also brought fresh food to the people in the villages. So they got to know him. Oh, here comes Nick, maybe he's gonna stop. As you grew up in the 40s and 50s, at least when I grew up, it was not a good thing to be Native. It was not. If you go for a job or do anything like that, I didn't have to face that too much because I worked on my dad's boats. But people that worked for us, they knew Dad, so they went to work and there's no problem there. But if you go to town and try to get a job, there was discrimination. No. What is discrimination? It's you get here in town or in Indiana, and they'd call you names, subtle things, that really, when I grew up, I was wondering, I don't know what they mean by that native stuff, because I didn't know. It's like when we were growing up, we didn't know what white kids were and native kids were. We were kids. A lot of the kids that grew up, when they come to town, did not want to dress up too much with native clothes. They wanted to make sure that they used clothes that were acceptable, used by other people around town, Nenana and Fairbanks. We were playing cowboys and Indians someplace, and someone said, well, you're an Indian. And we pretty much stopped and said, no, what do you mean? We're playing cowboys and Indians. They said, yeah, but you're really an Indian, And when I heard that, I said, well, I didn't know that. I didn't know I was an Indian. And so it's, the fathoming it, realizing, I also was one of the good guys, But no, I'm one of the bad guys, really. And then start trying to put those two things together in your mind as a young Indian kid. It's realizing, I didn't know I was an Indian, and it leaves you feeling not very good. Manny, my older brother, that's his nickname, he was flying. He was here in town in winter, and one Christmas he flew one of our family members' cousins to one of the villages, and this is in December, and leaves there, and they try to talk him into staying there, and he leaves anyway, and it's like 45 to 55 below zero, and he leaves, and gets into the ice fog, and we don't know what happened. The airplane ends up downriver and crashes, and is killed. High school, we're in high school down there in Copper Valley, and they called us in. Me and my 3 sisters, I think, were there at school, and told us, you have to go home. My dad is pretty much depending 100% that all the work and everything is going to fall to my older brother. Just a real huge dependence. So having him killed was a terrible thing that Mom and Dad went through, because they couldn't find him. Think of yourself, your son is gone. We don't know if he's crashed. We don't know if he's alive. We don't know if he's dead. He could be freezing. It's 60 below zero cold around the whole area. He's out there someplace. It's driving you crazy. So my dad and Mom were, it was hard to see. It was hard to experience that. I couldn't, a lot of us, the girls, I don't know how the girls went through it, but for me, it was like, I couldn't stand watching my mom and dad, because every few minutes, Mom would scream, or Dad he'd jump up, and he's stomping out back and forth saying, we have to, try to do something. Everybody is doing everything they can all over. And then they found him. And then it was, he's already dead. But after that, when we're sitting around, he'd be drinking. So, sitting around, and Mom is, she's trying to live with that. And so, off and on, my mom was drinking a little bit, but she quit. She didn't. She was just, so it just kind of crippled our family. I met Mary, this was spring, the winter of 60, 8, and she's got this little skirt, this little half mini skirt, little carrying case, and she's all dressed, little gloves. You don't know what the hell is this, you know? How now the hell this thing is gonna work? Some girl from California, and she's 18, just out of high school, and it's her first time to Alaska. We stopped over at Howard Luke's camp down on the Tanana, went up to see Howard, and I introduced him to Howard, and I asked her to marry me there at Howard Luke's camp. And she goes, huh? What? I said, you want to marry me? Do you want to get married? And she's looking at me like, we're looking at each other, and she says, okay, yes. I said, okay, good. So he said, we'll have the wedding, reserve the Moose Hall. There's a lot of mixed marriages, they're called. Catholics call them mixed marriages, you know. When a Catholic marries a non-Catholic, that's a mixed marriage, but the mixed marriage is between the white people and the Native people. And there's a number of them taking place already. So in Holy Cross, the Russians are white. So my great-grandfather married a Native Alaskan. So my dad is Russian Native Alaskan. So me and Mary, you know, my mom and dad just loved Mary. You know, you just thought that, and she has lots of stories. Oh, you should get her to tell her some stories about my dad, because I think she knows more about my dad in some cases than I do. There's always hope for us, all of us. We lived in a time where the balance of the earth and all of its systems, including animals and plants and air and water, everything that is earth and us, was in balance. And because of, you know, we all part of the industrialized economies, the money economy that we're all involved in, even though we may say we're part of the subsistence living, that is out there at an arm's length. And you may remember it, we may remember it, and go out and try to live it. And some do. They go out and they actually do. When you're too busy with your life to live, that's a sign of you need to slow down your life. Our lives, we're not living our lives in a natural way. Talking about being a native or native ways, we never really did do a lot of that. Now, so I'm going to tell you guys one thing that my dad taught us. Respect. So, he would, you know what I mean by respect? No, Dad, what do you mean? I mean, I didn't say that, but he said, you don't know. Okay, you guys come over here. We'll go out there to the diesel engine in the boat. You guys see this diesel? Yeah, you girls too. Talk to the sisters, you know. See this diesel? See this engine? He said, you take care of this engine. Change the oil. Change the oil filter. Burn clean fuel. Keep the temperature operating right. Keep everything in it that it needs. You take care of it. And it'll take care of you. We're in this business to run this boat. And the only time this boat is making any money, if it's running, and that motor will run for a long time if you take care of it. That's respect. You got that? Oh, yeah, we got it. Okay. Sometimes he'd come, when he's done, you guys come in here. You guys see all those rifles there? As soon as you walk in the boat, there's a stack of rifles there, shotguns, 22s, 410s, everything's right there. Hey, you guys see those rifles there? How much of them are loaded and how much of them are... When was the last time you cleaned them? We never cleaned them. We just throw them there. He says, see? You guys clean those rifles and check them to make sure they're not loaded. If they're loaded, you know which ones they are. Go in there and do it. He said, that's respect. Take care of those rifles, and they'll take care of you. So then we ask him to talk to us, and he says, well, you guys know anything about how to take care of yourself? He says, you take care of yourself by eating right. You eat all this food that's here. Vegetables, all the different types of vegetables, meat and fish, all these different things. If it's seal oil or seal skin or blubber or whatever it is, or all these different types of vegetables, you eat all of those things. That's taking care of yourself because your body needs all of that. Not just this thing or this thing, because that's not covering it all. That's taking care of yourself. He says, so respect yourself. He says, you take care of your wife. He says, you take care of your wife because she takes care of you. And he says, and other Native men say this, you take care of, now the way the men's supposed to teach men, older men are supposed to teach younger men, and it's like, you men listen now. The way we're considered warriors. We don't talk about being warriors in Abenana villages, but when you think about it, we used to be, there is warriors. We fight. There used to be fights. Warriors take care of the village. That's us. You boys, you listen good. We take care of the village. We take care of the women. We don't abuse them. That abuse means you beat them up, you do things to them, you don't treat them right. That's not right. Don't do that. You take care of them. They give, look at your mom. Look at your mom. Look at your sisters. You like people to beat them up? You like people to abuse them? Hell no. You men, take care of your wives. Take care of all the things you own. You take care of the earth. Where does all this food we get? Where is this air we breathe, the water? Where do the fish come up? All those things we use, each other, our life, our customs, our dance. Those things, respect. And he'd shake his fist at it, and he'd hammer it on the table. Bam! He'd say, that's respect. You think